Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Williamson. How's it going? Things are wonderful here. Beautiful day in the Berg. I am recording this Tuesday late afternoon, per usual. Day one of mini camps is in the books, and I have to pull back the curtain that they switched the schedule on us. So I had to leave after we were off the air from 10 to 1. But at 1 is when they were coming on the field to do the true practice. So I had to get out of there to record Peacock and Williamson. Go check that podcast out too. Tomorrow I'll be down there the whole time to watch the full practice. So they just did a walkthrough while I was on the air. But Rodgers is there, and man, there was a lot of buzz. Couldn't find a parking spot to save your life. National media there, more local media than ever. Everyone just waiting to see him take the field, blah, blah, blah. As mentioned, I mean, I didn't see practice, but he didn't really participate in the walkthrough, but he was very, very much tied in with Coach Archer, the quarterback coach. And just reading the body language, they weren't far from me. I basically was focused on them the whole time. They were 6 inches apart the whole time and really taking notes and very engaged. You know, it wasn't like they were just sitting there, shooting the bull about. I mean, they were very engaged about, pointing and, doing all that good stuff. So, really, really fun, to be honest with you. There was a different atmosphere down there because of Rodgers. Yes, minicamp is revved up OTAs, but Rodgers brings a new exuberance to all of us, and even the media I chatted with, they're like, man, I wasn't real big on this move, but this is kind of fun. Boy, this is kind of exciting. And I haven't even seen him throw a football yet. So that will be tomorrow. So that's a bit the best I have in terms of Rodgers news. Slay was back, was there, which is great. DK Metcalf was everything as advertised. I watched him heavily as well. Yeah, wow, he looks the part. Again, that's not shocking, but when you see them in person, some of these outlier players in an outlier league, it makes you go, whoa, that dude is really, really something. And he moves well. I mean, even in the walkthrough, he's running routes full speed, and he's cutting well, and he's going to be an impact guy. I mean, he stood out for sure amongst the other receivers. So all good stuff there. Again, I'll really be focused in the entirety of practice tomorrow. Just hang out down there. We had a lot of weird things going on in our radio broadcast too. And like I said, I had to get back to do the Peacock and Williamson podcast today. So some scheduling got in my way, and plus it caught me off guard. No excuses, but that's such is life. The gentleman that wasn't there, as I'm sure you figured out, is TJ Watt. I fully expected him to be there because, well, he's going to get fined, Now, he's not the only one around the league that, I don't want to call it a holdout. That's too extreme of a term, but wasn't at mandatory minicamp. I mean, guys like Trey Hendrickson, which is really starting to look contentious with the Bengals. Jalen Ramsey, interestingly enough, we'll get back to Watt in a minute, but Jalen Ramsey, much like Jari Alexander, I think is going to be released, which both those guys interest me, but we'll get to that as well today. He is not paying a fine. The Dolphins told Ramsey, teams can excuse you, so the team excused him saying, you don't have to come to minicamp. He's not going to be a Dolphin. But a dude that's been rumored for the Steelers, Jonnu Smith with the Dolphins, is boycotting, sitting out minicamp, and is getting fines. So that's starting to get a little hairy, and Miami does not have much money. Also McLaurin. These guys, I'm sure, piqued your interest as Steelers fans. I think those two are long shots. I don't think Washington moves on from McLaurin. I think Jonnu Smith will probably not be a Steeler. I don't know if you're going to invest that much in another tight end, but it's interesting. So Watt isn't alone is my point. And then there's another offensive lineman, a really good player, Elgin Jenkins with the Packers, who strangely is a guard that is being asked to move to center, and he's a center background, but doesn't seem real thrilled about it. And again, I always just look at these dudes that aren't happy hey, Elgin Jenkins come to the Steelers and play Siamalu's spot at guard. But I don't want to start spreading rumors. I don't think Ramsey, Smith, McLaurin, Jenkins, any of these dudes are going to be Steelers. I really don't. I do think they'll add another pass catcher at some point, but I don't think it'll be Smith or McLaurin. Back to Watts. I'm not worried. No one seems worried. It was hardly news, but of course that was overshadowed with the appearance of Rodgers. That's all anyone could talk about down there, not the lack of appearance from Watt, and rightfully so. I think that a contract will get done. This is very similar to me of the last time his contract was set to be up. Remember, he held in at training camp, and during his hold in, I would watch him through the binoculars and things in Latrobe, and he's laughing and happy and eating lunch with his buddies. And, like it's not the Hendrickson contentious situation at all. And I know some of you think, why would you invest in Watt at this stage? Trade him, get first round picks, tank, blah, blah, blah. Don't even bother with that thought, especially after the Rodgers signing, which has been out there for a while now. And I'm getting at that at the end of today's show. But Watt's going to be a Steeler. Frankly, I'd be shocked if he doesn't retire as a Steeler. Who knows? That could be a long time down the road. He's pretty darn awesome. He's going to make a lot of money. And I'm sure a lot of you will be like, oh, that contract's way too big. Not in today's market. We'll see what it is, but not in today's market. As I mentioned, Jaire Alexander got released earlier this week. I don't think he'll end up in Pittsburgh, nor do I think Jalen Ramsey would. But I think you guys know me by now that a position that's not great, and I don't think corner, particularly number 3 corner, is great. Let's get greedy and go get a guy, or at least contemplate it. Because I don't think Alexander's new contract coming up would be all that crazy. I don't think Ramsey's would be all that crazy, considering all the money he's made. And Ramsey, unlike Alexander, could potentially turn into a safety as a Rod Woodson type move late in his career. Charles Woodson, he's that type of player. When in doubt, grab another potentially great player. Now, Alexander, durability's been a massive concern with him. That's why his contract upcoming, I don't think will be very steep. He's really struggled to stay on the field two of the last 3 years. But I also think him and the Packers did not have a very good working relationship. But I don't want to harp on all these other players from other teams too much. But I have gotten a lot of questions about Alexander. I'm very intrigued with him and Ramsey. Frankly, I don't think the Steelers are. And I'm sure they're calling about McLaurin. I bet they called about Jonnu Smith. Great, but I don't think any of those things come to fruition when it's all said and done. Today was pretty much all about Rodgers, and rightfully so. And again, really good environment, and just watching him, he seemed all business and very, very dialed into practice and learning and hanging with his teammates and all that good stuff too. Exactly what I wanted to see. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, we're deep into the NBA and NHL finals, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in the action with the latest odds, news, scores, and even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days with summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything. With updated odds on MLB, UFC, and boxing to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. Last thing I wanted to touch on. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Albert Breer, who writes for SI.com. And I don't know Albert. He's been in the league. He's been doing this a very long time. He's got a great reputation. He's had a great career. Phenomenal. We don't really cross paths or anything of that nature. I have no reason to pump him up. But Steelers' Bob Labriola made me aware of this earlier today and I go to a lot of websites every day, and just to pull back the curtain, SI.com isn't one of them. So I had to be told about this, and that's why I'm telling you about this, is if you go to my Twitter timeline, at Williamson NFL, I just put it out. Albert Breer, of course, is out there. You go to si.com. But it's a very short, concise, and fun read about how the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers got to where they are right now. And the reason I bring this up is Breer in this article lays it out much better on kind of a timeline situation. And I think it'll make you respect and understand where the Steelers have been every step of the way. I mean, really, since the season ended, they mentioned names like Fields, and is Matthew Stafford available? Could Daniel Jones be an option? Kirk Cousins, things like that. And kind of how the Steelers have thought about their quarterback situation, but more importantly, their relationship with Rodgers over these last couple months, which frankly has been odd. And I know a lot of you out there are like, why did it take so long? Blah, 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 blah. Again, read this. I think you'll understand it much, much better, where both people are, where both sides are coming from. And it really seems like a good situation. I mean, that they did it on his terms, but with respect to both sides. Nobody's playing the other or anything like that. And I mentioned before too, and Breer brings this up, that his two of Rodgers' three most recent play callers. I've told you guys many times that Arthur Smith had a direct relationship with Matt LaFleur, Green Bay's head coach. But what I didn't put two and two together with, and I should have, it's low-hanging fruit, is Todd Downing with the Jets was also part of the Smith-LaFleur relationship in Tennessee. So two of his last three play callers, Rodgers, have all been some version of the Arthur Smith offense. So the acclimation period should be very, very easy. And again, please go check out the article. It paints the Steelers and Rodgers in what I think is a good light, in an accurate light, and an honest light, that there was just a lot of respect for both sides. And I think that's how you want to start this relationship. And I don't want to get overly excited about it, but I'm excited about it, and could it go terribly wrong? Absolutely. As could every relationship in this league. It's hard, but that's what I got for today. Again, I'm going to watch all practice tomorrow. It'll be ramped up from the OTA stuff we saw. Have some observations for you in that regard. See what else is shaking around the league or around the team. We'll do a mailbag later, pretty soon here, maybe a day or two from now as well. And that's a wrap. All right, take care. Over and out.